I'm almost beginning to believe we do have a Kalamazoo triangle.
Seems like it.
Good morning and welcome to Nature Watch. Nature Watch is sponsored by Waddell's Nursery, Floral, Garden, and Bird Center at the corner of 12th Street and Millam Road. And now your host of Nature Watch, Gary Miller, is here this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Actually, nice sunrise this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little nice red color, orange red color. So
yeah. Okay. I brought in my daughter, Emily Capitano, to work phones today, okay? And what does she do? She starts picking on plants outside. First thing when she gets here.
Yeah.
But she found an edible plant.
Yes, she did.
And I guess Andy's talked about it before, but I totally forgot.
Yeah, so actually outside the station here at the corner of the building, there's a Chinese or Kuza dogwood, and the fruit's out there. And so Emily had seen it when she came in, and it's actually an edible fruit. So looks like a big raspberry, sort of a hard shell, but you get that outside shell off when they're fully red, nice and ripe, and so
okay.
Yeah. I want to graze. So Jim and I were joking. We probably need to do a request to the station owners to have them do some edible landscaping around the building.
Especially, we have producers to feed. I'm just saying, basketball, hockey, it's all coming up. I got to feed these people.
Of course, that'll probably attract some more birds in that too. So the birds might take all the edible fruit before you have a chance to eat it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Actually, talking about birds, I've seen all sorts of birds. So on the way in, I saw a small flock of sandhill cranes heading due south. I'm like, I wonder if they know something about the weather that I haven't seen. So
I'm looking ahead, and they may be fooled because we're talking 90.
Yeah, almost
Monday,
90 this
Tuesday.
Next week. Yeah,
and when it cools back down, it'll be in the 70s, so it will be seasonable. But maybe we are going to have a real winter. Maybe they know something we don't. I don't know.
They move back and forth, and it was a small flock, so I'm guessing they may have just been moving to finding a field that's open now they're just starting doing harvest in the farm field, so more open fields, so you'll start seeing more and more of those flocks out in the field. So I'm probably just heading to find another field, and they move around periodically. But I have noticed the birds have started flocking up in bigger flocks.
Okay.
And talking about bigger groups, the deer are starting to herd up already. I've seen lots of deer. In fact, this morning, come on the way here, on the exit ramp off 131 to West Main, there was a doe and a fawn running along the fence.
Ooh.
So I had to slow down because I was afraid they were going to dart out in front of me. Luckily, they didn't. But there are lots of deer. I know Thursday night it was just about 9:30, 10 o'clock or so, and I was driving, and it was pretty dark, and I had to slow down several times for deer, including the one that had his head peeped up in the bean field that was driving along.
There you go. Yeah, anytime that I see a deer cross the road, even if it's way down the road, I slow way down because they travel in herds.
There's usually more.
Exactly.
And just have to keep your eye out, and they're going to be they're moving more. I'm guessing the doe and fawn this morning, they were moving like they'd gotten spooked by a little something. So I don't know if they got scared by a vehicle or what, but
okay.
So just have to
watch. Again, I got to throw this in because I got to promote her. Again, Emily Capitano is answering phones this morning, 269-382-4280. We'll have our trivia question in just a moment. If you can always also text into us at 80373, but not for the trivia question because we need a live voice for that.
And we like to hear you talk.
Right.
And so after the trivia question, we'd like to hear some calls, too, about things you're seeing in the yard.
Right.
So I'm still seeing hummingbirds.
Okay.
And I know several other people have made comments on the store when they've been in that they're still seeing hummers. So keep those feeders out until, 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks after you last see a hummingbird.
Okay.
And keep those feeders filled. We're not getting a high migration count right now, but the birds are moving every night. And actually, my trivia question has a little bit something sort of related with migration. So.
Oh, okay. And there have been, post radar shows the migration very well.
Yeah, that's how they sort of estimate the numbers in flight because the radar, they can pick up all the radar stations, they can pick up those flights of birds at nighttime. I did notice that the Westward Reformed Church yard across the street from the station here, some of the flock was out there this morning, the flock of geese.
Yeah, there you go.
Out grazing.
Okay. All right. Tell you what, let's get our trivia question out of the way. 269-382-4280. If you can answer Gary's question correctly, first correct caller to that number will win a $20 gift card to Waddell's. Emily, I need to get you the winner's form. I knew I forgot something. Anyway, I'll go ahead and do that in a moment.
Jim was so excited having somebody answer the phones that he forgot to give her the form.
I know. This is the second week in a row I've done this, too. When Steve was in here last week, I totally forgot then, too. Okay.
So my trivia question has to do with birds in flight. And so I actually ran across this little interesting fact. So my question today is, what is the highest flying bird on record? And I'm going to give you a little bit of hint. Typically doesn't fly over North America. Oh. So what is the highest flying bird on record? And then second part of that, because you're going to find the same answer there, how high was it flying? And
these two-parters, I'm telling you.
This is a softball. Somebody's out Googling, they're going to find it right away. I'm saying.
269-382-4280, what is the highest flying bird and how high does it fly?
Right. So the highest bird on record, because they don't typically fly that high, but they can fly that high. And they've actually were documented flying that high. So
okay.
It's we'll see how people are doing.
They're not doing it yet.
they're like, oh gosh, another softball two-parter. We'll see.
This 8:30 a.m. thing on Saturday is relative to 6:30 a.m. on weekdays. I would assume.
So I actually this last week I saw a small flock of killdeer flying, which was fun. You don't typically see them in bigger groups, usually just family groups. So that was actually did a double take, because there was about half a dozen and a half birds or so in the small flock. Haven't had much rain.
Okay.
Not a whole lot. I mean, got that little bit of scattered stuff coming through today, and maybe a little bit overnight, early tomorrow morning.
I think it's stalled, Gary. Well, I think the Kalamazoo Triangle actually exists because it's stopped.
And it may be because the air is so dry here, it may just dissipate and just skip over us again.
Oh my goodness.
So we need rain. I know Scott Larson was saying this morning it's been at least 8 days in Grand Rapids of any measurable rain. And the drought monitor hasn't changed much at all in the last week. Very, very slight change. But we need that moisture. And,
okay.
So go out and do a rain dance so we can maybe get that effect of the Kalamazoo Triangle out of sequence here.
We need the rain. We need the rain. I'm serious, folks. I'm looking at WKZO.com, and I was advertising earlier, as early as 8:05, that the rain's moving in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hit the edge of Kalamazoo, and it has not come any further.
So it's just falling apart as it comes this way. Yeah.
Jack in Kalamazoo, save us from this, please.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jack.
Your highest flying bird that I can find is pronouncing it right, the Ruppel's griffon vulture.
Correct.
And 37,000 feet, it ran into an airplane.
Yes, it did. So think about that, 37,000 feet, that's just almost 7 miles up in the air. And so that was the highest recorded. It was 1973. That's where typically most commercial planes fly.
There's not a lot of air up there.
And they're way up there. So it's a sort of a surprise, and all of a sudden they're run across a bird up that high in the air. 37,100 feet. Unbelievable. And I'm actually talking about
so it'll be a big bird of some sort too.
Yeah, it is. So the Ruppel's griffon vulture, sometimes just called Ruppel's vulture, typically is an African vulture, but they occasionally have been known to fly over parts of North America when they've gotten blown off course, because they do fly up, do quite a migration distance. So typically not here. So interesting. I'm going to talk about some of the flights in that. So the North American bird, actually a very common North American bird that is the highest, are the mallard ducks. They fly at about 20. The highest they've seen is about 21,000 feet.
Wow.
Which is actually, thinking about it, still almost 4 miles up in the air.
Yeah.
You don't think of ducks flying that high. So typically birds don't fly that high when they're just doing their normal local flying about, or even on migration. They're typically not flying that high, but they do fly higher during migration.
Okay.
And occasionally they go up that higher elevation. So like vultures typically catch those thermals, so they can get up that elevation so they can see. They must have quite an eye if they can see up there at 37,000 feet.
Exactly.
Oh, there's a little critter down there.
All right, Jack, you're our big winner. Can you hold on the line for a moment?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to send you over to Emily. She's going to get some information from you once I get her the form, which I will do very quickly. And we'll be back with more Nature Watch in just a moment here on WKZO.
The lawn experts at Waddell's want to help you have the best looking lawn in your neighborhood. Now is the best time to repair your lawn or start a new one. Waddell's is known for its exclusive grass seed blends formulated for the Kalamazoo area and sold in bulk so you can get just the amount you need. Supreme Blend, which has been the favorite Sunny blend for our area for more than 50 years, is on sale for $8.99 per pound. Waddell's Deluxe Shady is also just $8.99 per pound. For partially shaded areas, get Pro Shady Mix. It's on sale for only $5.49 per pound. Or get Waddell's True Blue Bluegrass Blend, sale priced at only $7.99 per pound. Larger sizes are also on sale. Before planting, use Kills-All. Kills-All gets rid of weeds and grasses and allows you to plant seed just 3 days later. The 32-ounce ready-to-use spray bottle is on sale for just $7.98. Waddell's Nursery Florist and Garden Center, open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 5, closed Sundays.
You asked for it, and we deliver more local news than ever before on 590 and 106.9 FM, WKZO.
8:44, Nature Watch continues, and we have all the wheels on now. We're good. And the Kalamazoo Triangle is still existing. I'm just saying. It stopped, Gary. It stopped.
Typically when there's like 30% chance or less, even 40 sometimes, but 30% chance or less, I always tell people I believe in the rain when I see it, because typically that 30%, it just seems like we don't get it.
No kidding.
Usually that 20, 30%, there's clouds in the sky, there's a chance of it. You might get a little scattered shower here and there, but as far as even a somewhat larger scattered area, nah. It just seems like you typically watch those storms all summer long come across Lake Michigan. Right. And a lot of times when they hit the lake shore, they start falling apart. They never even reach anything near Kalamazoo. So, yeah. We need that moisture.
Yeah, we do. And that's just, you and I have copied and pasted that all summer.
Yes,
and
have.
we're going to continue right into the fall. I keep forgetting it's still summer.
Yeah, we got another little over a week.
Yeah.
So that's almost a week and a half. So birds typically fly about 500 feet or so above the ground. When they're migrating, it depends on what part of the country here in North America where they're at. So in the east, the average flight typically is about 1,300 to 1,600 feet. And they're actually the migration altitudes are the lowest in New England, Michigan, and Florida. So interesting, with Michigan being one of the lower areas. In the west, when you get out west, the fall migratory bird flights, especially out Washington, Oregon, and California, averaged around 2,600 feet. But quite a few of the birds flew even higher, with the highest flights reaching 5,000 to 6,000 feet.
Well, you got to clear the mountains.
That's right. And so occasionally they will fly even higher than that. Interesting fact, the top 10 cities as far as danger for birds hitting them, because migrating birds hitting buildings is usually one of the most common problems. Mm-hmm. The number one city is Chicago.
Why does that not surprise you?
So we got buildings, we got low flights. I
can imagine you're up in the high rise. You know, if you have an office up in a high rise in Chicago and you're just working along and suddenly, boom! What was that?
Yeah, so they're all on the eastern side of the country. The farthest west cities are Houston and Dallas, which were number 2 and 3. Then we got Atlanta, New York, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Kansas City, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. So those are the 10 most dangerous cities for birds when they're migrating.
I will keep my feet on the ground. Thank you very much.
So watch for those birds. They usually typically fly at night. That's usually where they get that radar. They use that radar. The Cornell Ornithology Lab has done quite a bit of research in several universities that work with Cornell, Colorado State, and the University of Massachusetts Amherst, that use weather radar to monitor those flights. And that's where they can guess, number one, what altitude they're flying at, but also they can see they can do a very good estimate of numbers of birds in flight. And looking at Birdcast, if you go to Birdcast, Birdcast, they have migration maps and predictions, forecast maps on there. Tonight and tomorrow night and the following night are just on the low side here in the Kalamazoo area. But there are some birds flying. And so if you have a chance at nighttime, if you can turn off those outside lights, the birds would be very thankful for that, because those lights sometimes confuse them. And
they're drawn to the light and boom.
Yes, and then they hit a building. The other thing you want to do is make sure those feeders have food in them, because during the daytime, or after they get done flying, they actually want to feed, and they need that energy so they can fly the next night. And so a lot of times during the daytime, they rest and feed. So make sure you have those feeders out there so they can get some energy to keep flying south. Monarchs are starting to move. So earlier this week, I was sitting out in the lawn yard looking at some of the, actually watching the Hummer go to the feeder, and caught some movement, and I see a monarch that's flittering around. Came down some flowers, and then was sitting up about 15 feet up in a maple tree. I was like, that's not typical for them, but I bet it's one that's already migrating, heading south, so probably became an adult further north somewhere, and so just is on its way south. And so wasn't real familiar with my yard, so wanted to stay up high enough sort of protect itself from predators. So typically you don't see them up that high in the trees during the summer. Occasionally you do, but typically they stay lower.
Okay.
So, fun to watch. So actually watch for those monarchs migrating through, and all the birds. Give us a call and let us know what you've seen in migrating. I know I was checking the rare bird count this last week, and this last week in Michigan, actually in southwest Michigan, they have seen some sort of unusual birds, because these birds nest up in the Arctic Circle, actually north of the Arctic Circle, way up north, and so they're actually coming through already. And this last week they had confirmed sightings in southwest Michigan, Kalamazoo County, and actually St. Joe County, the American golden plover, the yellow-rumped warbler, and Baird's sandpiper. So something interesting to watch for those migrating birds coming through. Right now is a great time if you have that bird list, that life bird list going on. Get out and see some of those birds we typically don't see here, because they just migrate through spring and fall.
There you go. 269-382-4280. Again, Gary is tossing it to you folks. What birds are you seeing migrating right now?
Yeah, so there's if you've seen anything unusual, or if you've seen unusual groups of some birds that we typically see even. So let us know what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Some neat things coming up. Actually, tonight there's another partner program at the Nature Center with the Kalamazoo Astronomical Society. That goes from 8 to 11. Highlights of the night are great globular clusters. However, looking at the forecast, it might be too cloudy. So I have to check out the Kalamazoo Astronomical Society's website, or go to the Nature Center. There's a link to that to see. Usually after 6 p.m. they'll post whether it's going to be canceled or not.
Or the clouds might hit the Kalamazoo Triangle.
And they may. Those clouds may. Coming up this next week, Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones on Thursday has another of their monthly social that they have. Plants and Pints at Brewery Outre.
Oh, I'm there.
So Thursday night, check out their website, kalamazoo.wildones.org. Coming up in a couple weeks, just so you can make that on your calendar, on the 24th, they have their kickoff on their fall, winter, early spring series of meetings, and that's at Portage District Library. It is in person, but they're going to have Sarah Hudeman from the, I hope I pronounced Sarah's last name correctly, from the Barry Calhoun Kalamazoo SISMA, the Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area. This was between the three counties, and she's the coordinator there, and she's going to be talking about managing invasive plants in the fall. So if you're interested in learning more about invasive plants, it'd be a fun one to attend. Earlier that same week, the Audubon Society Kalamazoo has their kickoff meeting on the 22nd, and they are going to have an unusual guest there. Donna Possant is going to be there talking about birding with people that have more challenges in birding. Donna is blind.
Oh.
And so she actually is the director of Birding by Ear and Beyond at the University of Michigan Dearborn Environmental Interpretive Center. And so she's been blind since she was very young. And so she was interested in birding and environment. And so she actually asked U of M. She went back to school and looking at something that she could do to help people that have sight challenges especially do birding and still be able to do birding in that. And so they actually developed a unique program for her. So she actually got her degree. So she's going to be talking about using the other senses as far as being able to bird. if you have low vision, even sometimes it's nice to be able to
Right.
identify birds by sound. This is programmed, and they highlighted this as geared to all audiences. And so they actually enthusiastically are inviting families and nature lovers of any age. That starts at 7 o'clock with her talk, but actually they're doing a little social gathering at 6:30 before, and that is at the People's Church on 10th Street. So if you go to kalamazooaudubon.org, you can find out all the information on that. So some neat, and that one is actually they're going to have a Zoom link posted here soon, so watch that website. I've attended those sometimes via Zoom just because I couldn't get there in person, but they always have some great speakers there. This one would be very interesting, I think, just seeing something unique with that. And it'll help all of us, even those sighted folks, as far as being able to learn some things and use those other senses. So when you're out birding this fall, even, close your eyes a little bit and just listen, because a lot of times you'll pick up a lot of sounds with that. And if you're like me, you have the Merlin app, you can start listening to that. Use that to help identify birds.
I have that app too. I picked that up early spring.
That app is really fun because it's sometimes I've done periodically. I'll go out and do the sound identification, and there are birds somewhere that I really can't hear very much, but they identify them. So
okay, Phyllis joins us this morning from Pawpaw. Good morning, Phyllis.
Good morning.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hi. I have a hummingbird story you might be interested in. Let me turn down my radio here.
Yeah, please. I was just about to say that. I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard that. Okay.
Is that better now?
There we go. Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay. I looked at my hummingbird feeder, which it has a combination for syrup as well as the grape jelly. And there was a little head sticking up out of the well and the sharp beak. And I looked again. It looked unusual. Looked again, and it was a hummingbird head sticking up out of the well, which is in the center of the feeder. And another hummer came along, and they both had their beaks open and as if they were really fighting with each other. But the one in the well didn't move. And usually they both fly away because they're fighting. Then a finch came along to get grape jelly, ate the grape jelly. The hummer stayed in the well and didn't move. Well, he moved his head, but, it was just, I thought, something's wrong here. And I looked closer. I opened my window. I could reach it from my window. And he still didn't leave, even when I reached over there. He appeared to have been stuck in the jelly and had jelly all over him on his wing and maybe both wings, I'm not sure. And I brought the feeder in the house, took it outdoors to my bird bath. The bird bath was too high with water for him. And so I dumped it out, so there was just like a quarter of an inch in there, and got him wet. But he just still didn't fly, didn't move. I mean, he let me do this. I put him in a paper bag, and I thought I'd just let the water sit on his feathers for a while. I checked the paper bag in about 20 minutes, and I got him back in the bird bath again, got him wet again, and then he flew away. But it was just, I don't know. I don't know if he ever got his feathers totally unstuck. But I had feathers in one of the grape jelly mounds. There were little tiny downy feathers all over it.
Yeah, so probably trying to pull those feathers out or trying to clean and pull some of those feathers out. That's not the first time I've heard that about hummingbirds getting stuck in grape jelly, like in those Oriole feeders. So that's one thing I know they one of the recommendations they've made from Audubon and some others sites that maybe don't fill that well all the way up, but to leave just have enough in there so you can feed the Orioles. You got to fill it more frequently and add a little bit to it, but don't put full depth in there. So that way, if a hummer does get that attracted to that sweet, if they fall in, they don't get totally covered with it. So. Yeah. But it's I'm glad the hummer was able to. And I'm sure they eventually would get clean like that. I think he did the right thing as far as rescuing that Hummer and give them time.
He couldn't.
Typically, they will take care of themselves if they have the tools, i.e., the water and the bird bath.
Yeah, he couldn't have cleaned himself by himself. He couldn't have done that. He really needed that water.
Right.
And I guess he needed the second dousing of water. I don't know. I was really afraid to put him in the water.
Yeah, so think of jelly's very sticky, and so on those feathers, and it's sort of really hard for them to clean off because they have a very small mouth. So
sure.
Occasionally, some of the stories they've seen other Hummers come assist them to help clean them up. But
is that right?
So it's So thank you for that story. That's interesting.
Yeah.
To see, it's actually a reminder to make sure that you don't fill that well totally full of the grape jelly. The other bad benefit of that is you don't have to worry about it spoiling, because if you just have a little bit in there at a time, the Orioles will feed it. If the Hummer comes in and feeds a little bit, they don't get stuck in it, and it stays fresh for them all the time.
Well, I'll tell you.
There you go.
Don't have to worry about it spoiling. They take it away quickly.
Yes.
Phyllis, thank you. We do have to go, but thank you for that story. That was outstanding.
Yes, thank you.
And Gary, thank you. And we are putting a wrap on this. Thank you for listening to this edition of Nature Watch. Tune in each Saturday morning at 8:30 for Nature Watch. Brought to you by Waddell's Nursery Floral Garden and Bird Center at the corner of 12th Street and Millam Road, right here on 590 and 106.9 FM WKZO.